Hello, welcome back to the MMA Split podcast. I'm Matt, joined by host and producer
Josh. I thought you were going to say my name.
Usually I do, but we took last week off for various different reasons.
No, I like your ad-libbing. I just wasn't ready.
Well, be ready, because we've got a lot to talk about. Couldn't do the show last week, partly because it wasn't the most exciting period of time
Yeah, we didn't want
to talk about mixed martial arts. I think the previous show we basically said it was going to be a full-length discussion on The Wire.
No. I said one comment, and I'll upload my 20-minute passionate defense of season 5 of The Wire.
I'd actually suggested doing a whole episode talking about The Wire.
Oh yeah. We would have done that, but you didn't.
And I'll tell you what I've been watching recently.
Go on.
Been watching Rome.
Yeah?
Rome.
That's the docu-series one.
No, it's drama. It's with like Kieran Hines and Tobias Menzies.
Okay, yeah. Okay, no, I haven't seen this one. But I know about this one.
So it's like HBO after or around the time they're doing The Wire. So 2005 to 2007. So I think The Wire is still being produced, but it's in that The Wire, Oz, that period of HBO. Man, people want to talk about Game of Thrones having a lot of like nudity and incest. I think Rome beats it, man.
Wait, is it gratuitous though?
No, it's just the Romans were a bunch of like ridiculously horny, fucked up motherfuckers. So
it's like historically accurate.
Pretty much. So
whereas Game of Thrones, you were like, feels gratuitous, which I don't think it was. I'm just saying that was the argument. Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. It's weird watching a show where so it's all about Julius Caesar just after he's conquered the Gauls, like 51 BC. So I know a lot about it.
I used to read Asterix and Obelix as well.
I know a lot about this period of time. Big Julius Caesar fan. And so I kind of obviously know where it's all going. But there's like a whole thing with Octavian, his like great nephew, where his mum starts thinking that he's Julius Caesar's lover, even though he's his nephew. And he's not. He's just getting involved in like battle strategy. But the mum's so excited about it. She's just like, well done, darling. You must be such a good lover to Julius Caesar and stuff like that. Unlike your sister. She could have been Julius Caesar's lover, but she failed. It's just like, even in Game of Thrones, you didn't have this level of like parents pushing their children into incest.
Yeah, that's pretty nutty.
It's
I'm not going to watch it, I think. I think you haven't sold it to me.
Well, it's really good. The only problem is it doesn't have the Game of Thrones budget. So you get all of like the political intrigue and really good acting and build up and amazing sets, and then you get to the big battle and it's like completely off screen. It's like Game of Thrones season 1.
Okay. Well, as long as the budget gets spent on like good fucking writing, good fucking actors, like as long as the sets aren't complete dog shit.
All of that's there. The only other criticism I have is the two main characters aren't really like all the famous people. They've done this thing where they've created two fictional, like lower level, like Roman centurions, who just coincidentally keep happening to be extremely integral and central to the plot of all of the major shit that's going on. So like they've so far,
so it's a little high concept and not super well written in that regard.
They've given you two fake characters to sort of be on the journey to a certain extent, rather than just go and give you kind of the sense of like life on Rome. But you have to accept that like
because I'm too stupid to be a fly on the wall because I don't understand how TV works.
The same two people have so far recaptured the stolen eagle from the Gauls, rescued and transported Cleopatra to Julius Caesar, found all the gold that was critical in winning a battle, and it just keeps being these same two people. And it's like, I get it. You didn't want to write the 50 different people that were involved in this. I'm enjoying it.
You have not sold this show. Right?
I haven't. But it's really good. It's really good.
I've been watching?
What?
Ted Lasso.
You know what? I'm waiting till all of season 3's out, and then I'm doing my binge.
I think it is all out.
Then I'm doing my binge.
Because I've watched. I wasn't feeling super well over the weekend, so I started watching it on Saturday. Well, it was a long weekend. Monday was bank holiday. So I've got like 3 episodes left in series 3, season 3. I forget that it's an American show because obviously everybody's English and it's in England. Season 3, I think I've got like 3 episodes left. I've binged the fuck out of it.
Enjoyed it?
Season 1 fucking roped me in, bro. Lasso. It's fucking clever. Season 1 roped me in hard. Season 2, they took the piss a little bit with some of it, got a little soapy. But season 3, I don't want to spoil anything, so
please don't.
It's I really fucking enjoyed some of the stuff they've done in season 3 so far. I think it's much better than season 2 was, but it is still it's Ted Lasso. It's quite soppy in places. It's supposed to be emotionally manipulative to some level, and the first season though, man, I enjoyed the fuck out of that.
First season's very good. Second season I liked a lot, although not as much as
It's not awful. It's not awful. It's just there are these moments where I'm like, what has this show done to me? I started feeling like Roy Kent. I felt like Roy Kent representing my point of view, where he's like, this fucking show, I'm enjoying it, but what the fuck? Like, that's exactly how I felt.
Well, no spoilers for that.
Oh yeah, although, I guess I just spoiled. If you haven't seen it, I guess I spoiled Roy Kent, although they kind of give that away the first time Roy Kent's on screen.
True. Spoilers for Rome though. Every single character in Rome at this moment in time is dead.
Yep. Yeah, Rome falls. Spoiler.
Julius Caesar dies. Not well.
Yeah,
not well.
Spoiler, wasn't built in a day.
This is also true.
Yep.
This is also true. With all of that out of the way, should we talk about some mixed martial arts?
Go on.
There is some to talk about on today's show. We're going to be looking at Kai Kara France versus Amir Albazi. We'll be discussing the fight, the result, the judges, the aftermath, Israel Adesanya's very public blowout, an opinion on the matter, the card in general, plus UFC 289 is this weekend. We'll be having a look ahead to that card, discussing the main event, the co-main event, and the 2 other fights that are actually interesting on that card, because it's taken some hits. Plus a little bit of mixed martial arts news. Obviously, The Ultimate Fighter is back on our screens. Have you seen the first episode?
I have. As much as I hate that fucking twat.
You're watching it, and we'll be giving our opinions on that. Do you want to start with that, since that was technically the chronological thing?
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
If it was worth, so as not to support that violent woman raping piece of shit, pirated it. And only watched that out of obligation for you fine people.
So, I'll be honest, I thought Michael Chandler was a little cringe.
You didn't see that coming?
I did, but I thought even for Michael Chandler, it was a little bit cringe. Like, just a bit too try-hard.
I guess because I'm already filtering out one coach. I guess, like, without thinking about it, I know who Michael Chandler is. Like, I'm sweeping them to the side. I will say this. Chandler has put together a fucking great team of coaches.
Yeah, his coaching team is really good.
And I love that the vets are getting those coaches, because I have a lot of respect for John Kavanagh and like the SBG team, but I think it's kind of like all the prospects guy on that side, and all the vets getting fucking like Bader and Drysdale and fucking I always forget his fucking name, fucking Pigtails, the Killcliff striking coach, great coach. Great fucking guy. Like, I gotta be honest, like, when I'm watching that guy in the corner, I always do think, like, yep, dream guest for the podcast. Jason Shroud. I'm a fucking... I ate a brownie about an hour ago. I'm having a great time. I'm not covering myself in glory.
To interject on that thing, I really like the newcomers, prospects versus vets. I think that's a really good idea for the show.
I only like it because of how good the vets team is.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to touch on though. Do you not think that, not just in terms of the coaching side, but just a massive advantage from the fact that, you know, a lot of these guys even that aren't that old.
Yeah.
Roosevelt Roberts in the first fight, he's 1 year older than
Timur Valiev was like his like fucking number 3 or something. Like, you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, this is Austin Thud Hubbard. I mean, really, this is just a list of guys that
Jason Knight, bro. Jason, we were talking about Jason Knight the other fucking week.
Man, this is a list of people that basically probably never should have been cut from the UFC in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's not like, okay, so we need to see more of the...
Timur Valiev wasn't even on a good fucking contract. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we need to see more of these prospects. But what's weird for me is that when they're doing like vets versus prospects, and you've got guys in there mid to late 20s, early 30s, and a lot of them not super, super old as the so-called vets, just guys that have already been in the UFC.
This week, the prospect had more pro fights than the vet.
But this is what I'm getting at. It's like, unless the prospects was like, right, we've got like 22, 23-year-old guys, loads of talent, are we not just really going to look at this and say those prospects are just guys that have had the same number of fights, if not more, but just haven't got to the UFC? And maybe there's a reason for that. Because let's be honest, with the LFA, with all of the minor promotions that feed into the UFC, with the Contender Series now, like, if we haven't seen you at least be given a shot in the Contender Series at this point, or be earmarked in some kind of like fashion, there's a pretty good reason for it. Because otherwise, you're already in like, one's got a prospect system, Bellator's got a prospect system, Cage Warriors has got a great prospect system. So I'm just feeling like we might end up seeing a clean sweep of these vets and just seeing a bunch of prospects that really just aren't good enough.
I think there's going to be some talent there in the prospects. And for example, this week's guy, I've completely forgotten his name though. He took a break after a couple of tough losses, changed weight class when he came back, and it's like kind of that's why he wasn't on our radar. But 2020, COVID, everything, you're going to have a lot of guys that took these breaks. I don't think his story is going to be like that uncommon in terms of like I don't think these guys necessarily were inactive, but I think all of them had COVID impact them to some degree. So it kind of makes sense to me that like we could have a crop of fighters right now that like did get stalled in one way or another.
Yeah.
But the stories better get a little bit more compelling. Like it better get there better be some real fucking talent on that side. Because, like you said, like the vets team's pretty fucking stacked when you look at it.
I mean, Roosevelt Roberts, like you said, he was 4-4 in the UFC.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, it was just odd circumstances that he was cut.
Yeah. Katona, fucking won the Ultimate Fighter previously.
I think Roosevelt Roberts won the Ultimate Fighter.
Nah, Roberts was. I don't even know if he was Contender Series.
I'm sure he did, man. Because he fought on his 6-fight contract. He fought 8 fights in the UFC, got his new deal after 6 fights when he was 4-2, and then he lost 2 fights in a row, one to Bahamondes and then to.
I think.
I think
Bahamondes was the last one.
Well, yeah, 35 seconds or whatever, and then loses to Bahamondes and gets cut. But I'm sure he won the Ultimate Fighter when he was like 20 or something like that, like super, super young. Let me look this up.
Nah, they weren't doing there were the weight classes back then. But I'm pretty sure he was never on it, but
we're about to find out. I'm looking this up. Excuse the phone.
Tense. I'm on tenterhooks.
Okay. I don't think he was on the Ultimate Fighter, but he may have been on. But he was on the finale.
Oh.
He was definitely on the finale.
Very possible.
But it looks like he was Contender Series. You're right. But either way, 8-5 vet in the UFC. He's 28 years old.
Yeah.
And that knockout was nice.
Yeah. That was a special moment in sport. Let's be honest.
That was ruined for me because Tom, my cousin, saw the fight, like few hours before me, and just said, "Oh man, it was really good, but I had the 5-second knockout ruined." And I was like, "Well, at least I know it's not a long fight." But yeah, and little things like
this Ultimate Fighter fight was ruined for us in a sense because you know how long the episode is, and you're like, well, there's a lot of interviews in this episode. Like, they're really like fluffing the backstories.
Talking about this being ruined, do you think that there's something's been lost from the fact that usually we'd be dealing within like a 2-3 month period of at maximum of the Ultimate Fighter finishing, having the judges fight and coaches fight?
Nah, because there are seasons where the coaches didn't fight. There have been seasons where the coaches didn't fight. I think it's pretty rare, to be honest. If the coaches fight at the finale, it's because the coaches weren't big names. I think Mayhem Miller, Bisping fought at the finale, and it's not that they weren't biggish names, but they weren't. Miller was like kind of on a bit of a down tilt, if I'm being honest. Bisping wasn't who he was yet, and that fight fucking sucked because Miller just was in awful fucking shape. I don't know how many others were actually at the finale. I think it usually is like a month or two after, because it's almost like they want to have a full 3-month training camp after all that shit's done. They don't want to try and do training camp while filming for this TV show simultaneously.
So I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is that you usually get the fight confirmed within like a couple of months of it finishing, so it still feels like it's building up to it. Where it feels like we might not be getting the Conor McGregor. I mean, we know we're not getting it until at least November, because Conor's only been in the USADA testing pool for a few years. So it does kind of feel like this.
Well, the fudge factory is going to fudge some shit, you know, and it very much is a fudge factory. I don't know that we necessarily wouldn't get it before the end of the year, or even sooner. They have had a good track record of late of having the coaches fight within like a close like period of the TV show, and like really capitalizing on the marketing and everything. But traditionally, it has been a bit all over the place. So I think for me, it doesn't feel so surprising. But yeah, given like where it's been recently, and the fact that they brought it back, and Conor McGregor is still supposed to be like a big fucking deal. Yeah, it does feel a bit weird.
We will be watching tonight. The episode drops, or tomorrow morning.
I'm only 90% sure today is Tuesday.
Well, you'll be watching this the next day, so by the time you're watching this episode 2 will be out. There we go. Let's talk about the fights that happened over the weekend. Apex card, not the biggest of cards, not the best looking of cards. Produced some good moments.
It was
Produced some good fights. Had a bit of fun watching this. But main event certainly had significance. Number 3, Kai Kara France. Last fight was his title fight, loss for the interim belt.
Yep.
Taking on number 7, Amir Albazi. That's significant. He's fighting somebody 4 places below him. 5 rounds. Good fight. I thought pretty clearly 3-2 Kai Kara France.
I gotta be honest, I gave 2, 3, and 4 to Albazi.
You gave 4 to Albazi?
Fuck man, maybe 5. Look,
Albazi got outlanded 27 strikes to 6 in round 4. But interestingly enough,
I may have mixed up rounds 4 and 5 in my head. I felt like I thought in my head it was the last round that I gave to Kai Kara France along with the first, but maybe it was the 4th. But I gave it 3 rounds to 2. I didn't have it as a controversial decision at all.
I thought it was pretty clear Kai Kara France. Rounds 4 and 5, I thought 4 was very clearly Kai Kara France, even though one of the judges ended up giving that round to Albazi. I thought Kai Kara France won round 5.
Maybe it is that round I'm thinking of then, but I gotta be honest, I just felt like for damage it just went to Albazi.
27 strikes to 6 is a lot, man. I mean, I didn't think round 4 was controversial, and what's weird about this is not a single judge was agreed. So one of the judges, I think, Kai Kara France, the 5th round.
That's the other thing. I felt like a lot of these rounds were close.
I felt the first 3 were, but I felt that rounds 4 and 5 were clearly Kai. And I felt that round 1 was pretty clearly Kai, I felt. And I thought looking at the first 3 rounds, I didn't see a way that you could have Albazi up 3-0.
No, I'd say if anything, I felt the first round was one of the clearer rounds. But yeah, I 2-3, and I think it was 4, but I guess maybe it was 5 for Albazi. I just felt like he had the more damaging shots. I mean, it's hard because like so much of it kind of goes off of optics, and sometimes Kai's backing up because he's trying to avoid the shot. Sometimes that almost coincides with like getting hit with the shot, makes it look more powerful. Albazi wasn't really working defensively in the same way, so maybe the judges get caught the same way that I do. That sometimes it looks like he's really been stung there, but
hey. Let's see if we can bring up some stats, because I'm curious to see if we can get if the UFC's got round by round.
Podcast, and I don't look at my phone. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, it's tricky trying to keep the phone off the outside of the viewing.
Yeah, I miss slow.
Okay.
Being professional. Well, while we look this up, why don't you tell us how your week's been going?
How my week's been going?
No, them. We can't respond. I just thought maybe that would kill some of the dead air. They could talk for a bit.
We might need to just edit this out. I'm gonna put this.
That's not happening.
Oh, you're kidding! I've just done the X as well.
It's already 9 o'clock, Matthew. I'm putting this one up tonight. Nothing's getting edited out.
Okay.
You're lucky I didn't leave in the cold open.
That's a fair point. Okay, well, you're looking that up. The point is, I understand that there's this idea of damage trumps all, but if you bring up the stats for round 4, which ended up being...
So it probably was round 5, to be honest. I've just mixed that up in my memory.
Yeah, and then but for round 5, all the judges were agreed was Kai.
I'm not. If that's the round I'm thinking of. But yeah, it must have been.
I thought it was unfortunate. I thought Kai Kara-France had that taken away. It's hard to say it's a robbery, but what you can say is that...
Well, yeah, if the decision had gone the other way, I wouldn't have even been surprised. It was just, I had it scored 3-2 for Albazi, but it was just... I felt like it was a pretty close fight. These guys... Kai looked against Moreno like he was just behind championship level. He's at an age where you assume he's still improving. Albazi was a difficult challenge in different ways for him, so we didn't really get to see him, at his peak, doing everything that he does so well, but he still found ways to be very successful in the fight. Really close fucking fight. I wonder how far behind Moreno these two guys are. I think it's very reasonable that Kai could kind of try to pseudo act like gatekeeper, clear a couple of guys out, and just be like right back in that number 1 contender spot.
Well, listen, either way, he's had to take a step back. I personally think it was wrong. What I will say about Kai Kara-France that I think is a real negative for his style is that when you look at what Figueiredo can do with his jiu-jitsu and his submissions, when you look at, I know he's kind of moved up, but obviously him being at that championship level, when you look at what Pantoja can do, when it just kind of feels like he can beat high-level grapplers. He showed that against Bontorin, he's shown that against Askarov, but he has to make those moments on the feet so impactful, and he has to be so much more calculated and tactical, and have such a reduction in his strikes per minute output in order to not risk getting taken down, because of the fact that he's a great survivor. Once you take him down, he's not getting finished, he can get his back taken, he's not getting subbed, but he loses rounds too often in fights where he'll lose an entire round because he gets taken down once and then that whole round is gone. And I feel like when you look at somebody like a Brandon Moreno is a striker, but Brandon Moreno can scramble with the goddamn best of them.
Yeah.
And he can mix takedowns in against guys that are good wrestlers. And he's good enough at wrestling that his striking output can be extremely high because he's not having to measure everything out of fear. Oh, I've got to make sure I'm setting every shot up perfectly, that I'm timing this right overhand perfectly, that I'm immediately getting back out to distance. Because once I land 1-2 shots, I have to make sure I'm escaping any possibility of the clinch. And that fear and that, however good of a striker Kai Kara-France is, I feel like when he's that concerned about the takedowns, in a division like flyweight, where you've got to be able to scramble, you've got to be able to have that kind of comfortability in all the areas of the game, he's never going to broach that top level. Because Pantoja can strike, man. Pantoja will strike with you, and he'll just make you worried about the takedown, and he'll get him shots through that he wouldn't get in just a normal striking match with somebody like a Kai Kara-France.
Yeah, he makes it work for him.
Yeah. Brandon Moreno is also the thing about that elite level. Like, I actually don't know if Brandon Moreno is a better fighter than Kai Kara-France. It's just that Brandon Moreno is so fucking tough. Like, you're not finishing him, you're not deterring him. He was probably, arguably, losing or at least down before he landed that kick against Kai Kara-France, the body kick that dropped him. But it wasn't an easy fight for him. It wasn't Moreno at his best. But he can just stay in there. That's kind of his superpower in that division. I don't know if Kai Kara-France has a superpower that kind of puts him in that.
Well, he's got that right hand.
Yeah, but I kind of feel... I don't know if he knocks out the real top guys with that.
Well, I think even worse is when he's throwing that hard, a guy like Moreno knows how to set up the counter, and Moreno's got power. Moreno's got technique and ability. He times that right. Kai Kara-France does half the work for him.
And I'll be honest, man, I have a feeling come July that Moreno's going to be the number one contender, not the champ. I think we're going to be talking about some new scary guy that beats Moreno again and really cements just how fucking scary he is. Pantoja's the dude, man. I think he might take the belt and have it for a while.
Maybe.
We'll see. Other fights were on the card. Obviously, well, let's touch on Amir Albazi. I obviously think that he didn't win the fight, but he gets the win. He didn't look bad at all. I thought his striking looked a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
I mean, for what was, for the most part, a stand-up fight, looked fucking great going toe-to-toe with Kai Kara-France. Definitely hurt Kai at times. Made it difficult for Kai to really do his thing.
True.
Just really looking like a great, well-rounded threat.
Well-rounded?
I thought he looked good.
He could be something. You go up to number 3, I'm guessing now.
I mean, to be honest, taking out Kai Kara-France right now, like, you're probably, depending on who wins, so assuming Moreno wins, you might be the next guy up.
That's a good point.
Like, what I'm saying is we're at the point where the number specifically doesn't really fucking matter. Like who's fucking number 2?
Is it technically still Figueiredo?
Yeah, like,
because they won't take that ranking away from him until he's actually fought at bantamweight. So yeah, it would be Figueiredo.
You hope. They're ultimately going to do whatever the fuck they would. The way they do it is so dumb.
It makes no sense.
But yeah, my point is that, like, I don't really see who's going to leapfrog him at this point. Like, between now and July, who the fuck else is even booked to fight? I just don't think it's going to happen. And
Brandon Royval number 2? Or is he like number 4
I don't think
or something
so.
like that? So
He did go up, but obviously, I don't...
Do you do him versus Albazi, or is that a danger of, like, eliminating 2 potential title prospects by pitting them against each other?
Inevitably it is. I wouldn't hate to see that fight. I guess, look, ultimately they're going to do what they do, but, if Pantoja Moreno's 2 is a close fight, is it technically 2? It's 1 actual loss and an exhibition loss, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if 2 is a close fight, maybe they do a rematch, maybe they do 4, maybe they do 5. But I don't know, but like assuming the winner of that fight doesn't have an immediate rematch with the loser of that fight, why the fuck not Albazi? And if you were to have Royval Albazi fight, then unless they're gonna do fucking 5 fights with Pantoja Moreno, you would definitely expect the winner to be getting a title shot very soon after that.
Yeah.
He's right fucking up there. The numbers don't matter now. He's right fucking up there. It's what he's done for me lately. He's the last guy to win.
It would be quite funny though if Brandon Moreno just turns out to be the person that like fights loads of people a bunch of times. Yeah. Like, he's already fought Figgy 4 times. This is technically the 3rd time he's fighting Pantoja. He's already fought Kai Kara France twice.
He's the franchise maker, baby.
Man does what he does. Division saver.
He's the Vin Diesel of the UFC.
We got some other things to talk about on last week's card. Alex Caceres versus Daniel Pineda. These are 2 guys.
This is a great fight.
Who getting on a little bit, but always entertain. Been around for a while. Get a Kona main event slot. Bring the action.
Yeah.
Bring the action. I thought Caceres looked really technically good. I thought Pineda, first round, certainly almost had his moments. Aside from that, I thought...
Yeah, you may even be wondering if he stole it at the end. He didn't. But, like, you know, there was that kind of sense of, like, the tempo switching, you know. He finished a round that he lost very fucking strong. You can't ask for more than that from a vet, man. Like I said, really fucking brought it. Caceres, though, looked perfect. Such a great fucking fight. He has really been... He turned it around in a big way. He has been looking better and better. This fight was not against the biggest name that he's had on this streak, but...
Pineda fighting a guy who has 28 wins and 28 finishes.
Yeah, the man is not a joke. He is a great fucking fighter. I mean, he fucking willed his way through a liver shot at the start of that 3rd round.
Yeah.
Not all of those body shots hit the liver, but that shot and the left hook... the right hook. Right hook to the liver, insane. But those 2 shots, like, were clean. The other ones I don't know so much, but the fact that he even just fucking willed himself through that... Unbelievable.
Also, some of the shots he started taking to the head when he had the guard dropped. I mean, that's one of the things I thought Caceres did a great job of once he held him to the body, is just keep throwing up top as well. Just keep throwing the straights. The 1-2s he's throwing down the middle were perfect. Honestly, great fight. Both guys brought it. It's really nice to see Alex Caceres, who was 14-12, I think his record was, not that long ago.
Something like that.
Now he's 19 or 20-13. So he's put together 6 wins or 7 wins, and he's only been beaten once.
Yeah, he's looked great.
And the guy that beat him is a beast as well. I think he lost to like a Movsar Evloev or someone like that, or some dude that you look at and just think like that's a real one.
Yeah, let me bring it up real quick.
And 34 now, not a spring chicken, but found that groove in his career.
Yeah, Sadiq Youssef.
Sadiq Youssef,
Super
that's
Sadiq.
the one. And that wasn't a bad fight, man. And Sadiq Youssef is a beast. So good on Alex Caceres, and good sportsmanship from the both of them. Pretty sure it got fight of the night. If it didn't, there's something wrong.
While I pretend I still had it up.
While you're checking things out.
I had put it away already. Yes, fight of the night.
50 grand for both guys. Nicely done.
And do you want to talk about Jared Gordon real quick?
Yeah, what happened? How come he got pulled off the card?
So he got pulled off the card like concussion after the accidental clash of heads with Bobby Green.
Oh.
So it's like, so he got pulled off the card for admitting that he got hit in the head when everyone saw he got hit on the head. And Dana White's like, fighters need to be protected from themselves. Motherfucker, you put that shit on TV, everyone saw it. Dickhead. But that's why he got pulled from the card. Because he admitted that he got hit in the head when everyone saw that he got hit in the head.
Well, he admitted that he had a concussion, which was pretty obvious because he went unconscious.
Yeah, the fight originally got called as a fucking knockout. And Dana White put that on TV. And then Dana White comes out and says fighters need to be protected from themselves.
But no, okay, listen. Fighters do need to sometimes be protected from themselves. Yes, knockouts are the name of the day, but business. What I don't understand is if he was cleared, like, how is it not the same people clearing him to say he can be booked to fight that are not then like how?
Well, same commission, different doctors, I imagine.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so he admitted he had a light concussion after that when he got knocked out. And then the doctors were like, well, that was too recent. You can't fight.
I don't think it also helps that I'm pretty sure in that same interview he said, yeah, it's probably not a good idea for me to fight, but hey, when you get a big name like Jim Miller, it's worth the risk.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't like Cain Velasquez level where he's like, my back's fucked. As soon as this fight's done, I'm getting surgery. But essentially, all he said was that he'd had a light concussion. Which, let's be honest, that shit was televised. Called as a knockout. I think him saying it's a light concussion, if anything, is trying to like sweep that shit under the rug. And Dana White's like, how dare he talk about it so brazenly? Fighters need to be protected from themselves. Moron.
Well, he shouldn't have been booked to fight this soon anyway.
That's the bottom.
They would have never created this situation.
Yeah.
It's probably a good thing that he got pulled for him. Unfortunately, because he got pulled.
Yeah.
Some guy called Jesse Butler has to fight Jim Miller on 3 days' notice. And listen, I'm delighted for Jim Miller.
Same.
Because that's the fastest knockout of his career. Arguably the best knockout of his career.
The Ghost Pepper one was pretty good.
That man, I mean, he's out on the first one. That's like the kind of knockout you usually only see against like in boxing when they get tangled in the ropes. But he was like down and then kind of half sat at the angle, and then the uppercut comes through and he's fully out. And that's great for Jim Miller because we all want to see him fight at UFC 300. And he's about 9 months away from that, give or take. It's so close, he can touch it. But he does need to still kind of keep winning. If he loses 4 fights in a row before UFC 300, they probably cut him for his own health and safety. But poor Jesse Butler, man, you come in, you have to fight Jim Miller. Yeah, he's a bit older, but he's still a beast.
That was a very bad idea.
I think even Jim Miller felt bad afterwards. He was just like, oh, props. I mean, took it on 3 days' notice.
He's quite a big guy as well, so it's like, is he a featherweight that didn't cut? Or did he just absolutely destroy himself trying to make 55?
I don't know. The thing is, the punch was perfect as well. What I can say is that probably needs to work on his boxing fundamentals because Jim Miller got the outside foot way too easy. Like, you know what I mean? You should never... there was danger that was not recognised long before that left hook smash combo landed.
Yeah, the wild shit shouldn't ever catch you like that anyway, as well. Just... poor guy. Fuck him.
Jim Miller keeps doing his thing. That's 42 fights in the UFC now. I think 25 wins? He's got the most wins now? I mean, he's had the most wins before, but he's extended that. He's got the most fights.
Yeah, I think it's more than 25, but I don't know and I am stoned.
What I know is it's the most fights, it's the most wins. Guy's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
That combined with UFC 1, 2 and 300 appearances, guaranteed.
Bulk of his career done with Lyme disease.
He still has Lyme disease. They don't
I know.
They just treat it badly.
I know, but like, he had, I don't know, what was it, maybe 6-7 fights ago. He just kind of like figured out a better way to deal with it. And like had a little bit of a resurgence, but also like dropped down to fighting like lower quality fighters, which is like exactly what he should be doing at this point in his career. Like, he's not taking it easy. He's staying as competitive as he can in an intelligent way. But like, yeah, the fact is the guy just found like a better way to cope with it. Like, night and day, like so much fucking better. Still, what a legend. Absolute like Hall of Famer. Doing that shit with something like Lyme disease is just the fucking cherry on top.
And
like, how the fuck do you do that shit? And a nice guy.
We got to talk about the knee bar.
Yeah.
What's her name? Karine Silva?
Karine Silva.
Who was meant to be fighting Ketlin Vieira.
Yeah.
who, interestingly enough, is dropping down to flyweight.
Yeah.
It's like, that is how fucking scary Amanda Nunes is, man. We're going to talk about that on the preview, but she's literally scared an entire generation's worth of prospects from joining bantamweight. I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Karine Silva versus Ketlin Vieira at 125 would have been an interesting fight. Instead, we got some poor girls whose name is Ketlin Souza,
yeah.
and also has a 13-3 record, making it very confusing for me. I literally just thought maybe Ketlin Vieira got married or something like that. That girl got her knee ripped to pieces.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Karine Silva's scary. 100% finish rate in women's MMA.
Well, I mean, like, she's just such a dangerous submission artist. It's unreal.
That was one of those replays where you think you know it's bad, but then you see it and you figure, okay, that's the moment she's going to tap. No. I went so far to the side. I hate anything
she was defending well until she readjusts and like gets deep on it, and then it was like once it looked like she was going for the heel hook, there wasn't really a lot of time between it actually being sunk in and her it, and half of that was her trying to move her leg and defend. So there wasn't really a lot that could have been done differently.
Was that Ketlin Souza's debut?
Yeah.
That's a tough debut.
Probably her last time walking. Do you want to quickly talk about Tim Elliott?
Yeah, Tim Elliott,
he looked fucking great.
It was good, man. It was really good. Really complete performance. And for a guy in his mid-30s who found out his wife's been cheating on him, very disciplined.
She's been cheating on him?
Yeah, he found out she's been doing the dirty.
Yikes.
And his kid's not his.
Oh. That's crushing.
He's had a,
That's why you wanted to skip Tim Elliott? You want to bring that up?
No. Actually, and I only remember seeing that a few weeks ago, so I'm a bit fuzzy on the details. I just remember seeing that. He said that.
Let's just concentrate on what's going well for Tim. Altamirano is like a good fucking fighter too. This was a great performance.
We didn't do a pick show for this one, but I would have picked Victor Altamirano to win that fight.
I probably would have too. There's a lot of fights I would have whiffed on this one, you know. And not least of all, like, I'm a huge Zaleski dos Santos fan.
Wouldn't have picked him to beat Abubakar, but he got it done.
Yeah, man, he looked good as well. Like, he's had some time out. He looked fucking good. This was like the Yelizario that I got excited about like back in the day. Because this guy's got like obviously he wasn't gonna go to the ground with Nurmagomedov, but this guy has like good jiu-jitsu. Like, he's got legit submissions. On top of like that fucking striking style, that savvy and that toughness. He had a bit of a bad run, but he's a fucking good fighter.
No, I agree with you. And also, I think with the Bubakar as well, you just need to get through, like, if you can get past that first 5 or 6 minutes, he's just not nearly as effective.
Yeah.
You can kind of survive the worst of him.
Like, he's smart, he knows how to, like, grind and, like, fucking make the fight nasty, but he's not.
He's not the same as his namesakes, put it that way.
Yeah.
Prelims, not the best, but I thought good wins for Daniel Santos. Good win for Dontel Mays. I would have picked Arlovsky to win that.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy fight for him either.
Nope. Tough win for Castaneda. Had to eat some groin shots and some fouls and all sorts of shit. Jamie Malarkey looked really good, and then
until he got knocked out. Big win for Naimov, making his debut from. Which country was he from? I'm not sly, don't ask me these things. Him and the other guy, they were both from the same place. Let's see if I can look this up. See if I can look this up. Elise Reed and Ginny Frey had a fight that was a lot more fun and a lot closer than I thought it'd be. Very true. Damon Blackshear, the one and a third of that was a fun one. Blackshear really brought it. Oh shit, Lynn's Grisham wasn't a bad fight. I only saw the end of that. I only saw the very end of that. I just saw the last 2 minutes of Lynn's pressing Grisham up against the cage. Hey, light heavy Lynn's might be the secret key. Yeah, 2-0 now at 205. If he goes on to draw his next 5 fights, that'd be fucking hilarious.
Tajikistan. Naimov is from Tajikistan. First guy to fight.
It was on the tip of my tongue, and I was about to say it. Why'd you have to step on my toes?
Sorry, man. Just wanted to have my moment. Not the best name value, but I thought it delivered some decent fights, this card.
Yeah, so overall, it was surprising. I don't know how many people watched that, though.
I'm bored of the
Apex. They're dialing it in.
Bored of the Apex. I need some fans.
I'm bored of... What sucks about trying to, like, break down these fights sometimes is that it's not just that it's newcomers. It's not just debutants against debutants. It's the fact that I've got fighters that have technically had 2 or 3 fights in the UFC, but they've all been against very low level competition that were debutantes themselves, and I don't really have like that yardstick to measure them against because I haven't seen them fight against more familiar talent enough times. That sometimes
and we don't have like the technical understanding of the sport of going like,
even if you do, even if you're a fucking genius for these things. Like, you're still, like, comparing apples and oranges every fucking time.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're not fighting the same people as each other. They're fighting people that got cut, like, a couple of months ago. So often, they're fighting people that have already been cut by the organisation. And you're trying to go, like, well, I've seen them do this before, but never against what I consider to be someone that's a real staple of this division, someone that kind of matches the calibre of this division. So I don't really fucking know where they're at. And, you know, sometimes a fighter will go 5 or 6 fights before you see him fight against recognised talent where you're like, okay, now I can kind of say how good you are. Everything else I know. And I don't think it matters how much you know about footwork and takedowns and setups for different things. Because if you haven't seen him do it against relative quality, you're very much just sort of second guessing what they're capable of. You don't truly know. You know, Darren Till was fucking amazing, looked amazing, everyone said he was amazing until Tyron Woodley put him on his ass. You know, breaking it down, people are like, yeah, maybe it's a close fight. As it pans out, it's not. Now, there's a lot of things that can go into that, and then obviously, like, his run of form afterwards, you're like, yeah, just not as good. Just wasn't as good. But until you see him go up against that kind of talent, because the biggest name he fought was Cerrone when he was old as fuck and in a loss streak, you just don't really know how to compare him. And it gets so difficult when you don't see him fight against common opponents. You don't see him fighting against people that you have a good idea of where they're at. You know how consistent they can be. You know if they're having a good night or a bad night. Everything feels new. It just becomes so difficult to get excited for shit 'cause you don't really know how good anyone is now.
I agree with you. Unfortunately, the UFC pay-per-views do not always bring that name value themselves.
Not
as we're about to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look ahead to this weekend because it's a pay-per-view. UFC's back in Vancouver, first time in a while. Amanda Nunes is headlining a pay-per-view, first time in not a while. She did that last year. Fighting Irina Aldana, not Pena 3.
Yep.
I'm not excited about this, Josh.
Well, I think this is the better fight.
You do?
Yeah.
I feel like Irina Aldana has one hope, which is to knock Nunes out with a left hook. I feel if she doesn't do that, she's probably going to brutally lose. I think Nunes is stronger, better striker, not a better boxer. I don't think Nunes has ever been that technical, but she's so powerful that I don't think it matters. I think she's a better kicker. I think she's a better grappler. I think Aldana has shown herself to be weak when regards to grappling. Holly Holm out-grappled her. I don't see the... Pena at least... I'll tell you what the danger with Pena was. She's so tough that you know she's going to be in there for pretty much all the 5 rounds unless she gets submitted. She's not giving up. And there was always that threat. It's like even in the second fight, the omoplata she's throwing up, she had that armbar that was almost in, couple of triangles. Like I feel like Pena could legitimately pull something and win that trilogy. I don't see Aldana making some massive leap from the person that was losing against Macy Chiasson until she hit a miracle, up kick body shot knockout, to being the person that's going to beat Amanda Nunes. Now, I know bigger underdogs foes, but
okay, how much money would you have put on Pena for Nunes Pena 3?
On Pena?
Yeah.
€20.
Okay.
Specifically by submission or finish.
I was expecting less, but I don't think anyone really believed that Pena was going to pull it off again in the third one. I think Nunes had a really bad night in the first, didn't handle it well, shit the bed hard, and what happened. I don't think you can really anticipate that happening again. I don't think that Pena is going to pull off another upset like that. I don't think Aldana's going to pull off an upset. But I think Aldana's a better fighter than Pena, and I think Aldana's more deserving of the title shot. So for me, better fight.
Fair enough.
And I do like Pena. And when we did the pick show for Pena Nunes 1, we all shit on Pena.
Pretty hard.
We I don't think we even really discussed it. It was very much like this isn't a pick, it's a foregone conclusion. But
I said those exact words.
I think we all might have said something like that. We said some fucking iteration of that. Like, I still like Pena. I felt bad for saying it. I felt like it was fucking hilarious when we had to apologise for that immediately afterwards. When we did the recap for that one. But I think it's going to happen again. I just think Aldana for me is just something different. Feels a bit more deserving. Is it any closer? Nah. But also, like, with Pena, when she threatens stuff, I feel like it's just fun because she's threatening it. I don't think it's ever really going to come off again.
Well, Nunes has shown herself to have very good jiu-jitsu defense,
Yeah.
particularly in top position. She showed that against... the Dutch woman.
Jermaine
Durandamy. I mean, she's willing to risk having a few triangles and arm bars thrown up for her to stay in top guard and beat people up. It's just, I'll tell you what, I think it's a hard fight to sell, to be honest, man. And I think it's just a tough situation for Nunes, unless you have a true, you have a champion from a different weight class stepping up to fight her, or unless you have a Kyla Harrison or a Shevchenko. It's just going to be a story of, okay, are we watching maybe one or the second to last fight of one of the greatest ever's career?
Yeah.
And then it's like the Tyson thing. It's like, I'm watching it to see maybe a miracle happens. It's like, it's like when Federer was dominating Wimbledon or something, and you're just like, okay, I'm watching it because maybe there's an upset. Maybe it doesn't go the way that we're expecting it to.
Maybe they get injured.
But fortunately, the UFC knew that this was going to be an issue, so they put Beneil Dariush versus Charles Oliveira on as a co-main event. So now it's like, I have to watch. Now it's just like, you forced me to watch this. You forced me to have to watch this now. Because that is a fight that you can't miss.
Yeah, that is the best fight on the card.
That probably could have main evented, if I'm perfectly honest. If there wasn't a Tyson fight, I would have lived with that as a 5-round main event.
Yeah. I mean,
but you would have had to then
why
make
not
this a
just
fight
make
night.
up another belt?
Well, we're already doing that for the card afterwards.
Yeah, but make up a completely new one, because why the fuck
Christ belt.
And let it highlight it.
The Christ belt.
Yeah.
They're both really religious.
Yeah, the pious belt.
The soldier of God belt.
Yeah.
Whoever wins it is God's true
Yoel Romero
Christian
represents
soldier.
it.
Yoel Romero's fighting soon.
Yeah.
He's fighting Nemkov.
There's
no way he wins that, but you still think, he only needs to land once.
Well, yeah, again, they can threaten. I mean, I think he can only land once, but he's going to spend most of that fight on his back.
Yeah, but
still.
The guy's got the tendons in his eyes are 3.5 times thicker than that of the average human.
Yeah.
Scary shit. Back on this card.
He's only 50, so still young.
Dariush is coming into this fight hot shit. I mean, he could not be more hot shit.
Yeah.
He's beaten everybody. He's styled on people. He's had fights of the nights. Schooled Diego Ferreira in jiu-jitsu. Everyone thought he was going to lose to Gamrot. Comfortably dealt with Gamrot. I mean, it was a good fight. It was tough, but by halfway through round 2, he'd figured out what he needed to figure out, and he was just putting work in. And we know how good Gamrot is because we saw him against Jalen Turner on short notice. Dariush is a beast. Charles Oliveira, I feel, is more dangerous, but it's taken way more damage. Seems like somebody that's been hurt in sparring and training way more. And he's not the champ anymore. He's coming off that loss of the belt, and sometimes it's kind of hard to rebuild yourself back up again once you lose the belt. You get that confidence from being the champ, you're working your way to be there. We see so many guys tail off after they lose the undisputed belt and not really...
Well, technically you'd already lost the belt.
Yeah.
You didn't even go into that last fight as champion.
Which is an issue he'd had throughout his whole career. But he was on weight when he lost to Makhachev. Got dominated by Makhachev in a way that might have affected his self-belief a little bit. Potentially. How are you feeling on this one? Do you think... who do you think should be favourite, and who would your pick be? Even though we're not doing official
Oliveira picks. Should be favourite. Oliveira would be my pick. Same as last time, I thought he was going to bounce back better from what had happened. He didn't. I feel like he bounces back this time. Beneil Dariush is a fucking fantastic fighter.
Bit of the Irish coming out in you there. Fucking.
A little bit, yeah. But, for example... it's one of those things where he will have a good game plan against elite fighters. Having a game plan and not always fighting instinctively, but fighting with a process and a setup creates reads. A guy as dangerous as Oliveira, a guy as smart and as experienced as Oliveira, he doesn't need to see all of them. He doesn't need to be given a big opportunity to anticipate what you're doing. He just needs to snatch at a moment. I just feel like Oliveira will have opportunities to get on that neck, or he'll have opportunities to find that chin. Dariush is a fantastic fighter. He is world-class quality. Oliveira is just slightly more dangerous. But they're both right fucking there.
I kind of feel like Dariush's style, particularly the way that he implements his jiu-jitsu, is going to help him out against Oliveira. Because Oliveira is very opportunistic and very aggressive.
Yeah.
Active off his back, always looking to attack. Dariush, I feel, is like the guy that understands the positioning of it so well. He won't take the same kind of risks, but he will control and get that position and control from that position. Look what he did to Tony Ferguson, who's an opportunistic jiu-jitsu practitioner. Now, obviously, we know Oliveira
they're not on the same level yet.
Is just a different level, and he's going to have to mind his P's and Q's. But I just kind of think that Dariush is that. I don't see him taking any unnecessary risks, and I don't see him making the mistake that really helped Oliveira out against Gaethje and against Poirier, where they could hurt him, but were so afraid to go to the ground, even on top guard, top control, that he was able to kind of recover. He was able to kind of get away with certain things in striking, which once he fought a Makhachev, he wasn't able to do, because Makhachev is just like, no, I'm not afraid of going to the ground. So if you're going to try and do a jumping switch kick with your fucking hands down, I'm just going to stay in position and fucking left hook you, because I'm not afraid at being in close proximity. And I feel like if Dariush wins it, that's what's going to be what helps him out. And the possibility that, I mean, how old's Oliveira now? 31? 32? Something in that region?
Not a clue.
But he's been in the UFC for a long time, man. He's pushed his weight very extremely, which doesn't age you well as a fighter. He's taken damage, a lot of damage in fights. I just kind of think this might be Dariush's moment, man. And I'll be honest, if Dariush can convincingly beat Oliveira, I honestly think he could beat Makhachev. I really do. I think his self-belief, his confidence, his unorthodoxness as well. The fact that he's technical, but then a lot of the striking on the feet, it's not well taught, but he just makes it work for him, and it's hard to pick up sometimes.
Yeah, also, he can like ride the storm a little bit. Again, if we know that you've got a good chin, it's because you've had your chin tested, and that generally means that your chin's on its way out. It's been a while since I've seen him like proper fucking like rock, like you're like, oh, this guy's done, and then he comes back and wins the fight, or even just knocked out. So it's like, it's kind of like the best of both worlds, where you're like, he's got a fucking chin.
It's the Drakkar
You haven't
fight.
had to see it loose. Yeah.
That's the last time it's been tested, and that is over 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, that was after the Barbosa fight, wasn't it? But that fight and the Barbosa fight are the fights where I'm like, those weren't good. Yeah, they were not recently. So you have that thing where you're like, I know he's got a good chin, and you're not immediately thinking like, and I know that for all the wrong reasons. It has been a while.
It's a good fight though. It's a really good fight. It's one of the
only reason I'm excited for this weekend.
Well, there is one more fight.
No, there are other good fights, but this is the only fight that literally gets me thinking like, I can't fucking wait to watch this card.
Well, we need to talk about this feature fight. What the hell is Mike Mallow versus Adam Fugit doing as the feature fight? Ahead of Danny Ige versus Nate Landwehr, which again probably shouldn't be on the main card of a pay-per-view, but it's a fun fight. Love seeing your boy Eric Anders getting some main card love, but that probably shouldn't be a main card fight on a pay-per-view.
Well, not when you've got Imavov Curtis on the prelims.
Yeah.
It's like they're desperate to have the second best fight be on the prelims.
Yeah. Now, prelims still have some fights I like. Miranda Maverick versus Yasmin Yazudavicius. Potentially good fun.
Yeah.
But I gotta be honest, I kind of think Miranda Maverick just does everything that Jasmine does better. I don't see that being...
On paper, I think this should be Maverick's fight. Yazudavicius does feel like a bit of a baller though. So...
Also, she's now the only person that hasn't been finished in the UFC by Natalia Silva. That's Natalia true. Silva's fought.
That's true.
And Natalia Silva might be good enough to be a champion right now. So I don't know how much her getting schooled by Silva really can be held against her. Eamon Zahabi versus Arichi Lang. Prelims, that's fine. That's a good fight for the prelims. I'm happy with that.
To be honest, Zahabi seems to have some kind of like fucking moment where he didn't look like a dog shit wooden fighter and actually looked like an athlete and was starting to put it together. And this is a huge step up for him. So I think this one's kind of low-key interesting.
Richie Lang always brings it. But then we were meant to have Chris Daukaus versus Khalil Roundtree. Yeah. That would have been perfect for the prelims. We've lost that now.
That would have been fucking perfect for this main card.
Yeah. So it does feel a little light. But that co-main event saves it. The thing is, though, is when you compare the names I've just said, and now we're going to scroll forward and we're going to look at the next 3 pay-per-views. This is UFC 290.
So they did say us last week that now we've got the UFC every week until I think November, which on the way things have been, you watch MMA, you're not a moron, you know what I'm talking about. Quality tailed off quite a lot. Like some weeks, it's quite a lot of weeks to be honest. PFL, Bellator, and ONE FC are all better than the UFC.
Because that's their big nights, yeah. The UFC is spreading themselves thin.
It's going to get ugly.
Well,
it's going to get very ugly.
The next 3 pay-per-views are not ugly. This is what the comparison is. Same money. Next month, you get Volks versus Yair for the undisputed featherweight title.
Sorry, I thought you were going to go through like all the fight nights and everything.
Oh, no, the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, okay.
The next pay-per-view.
This is a much better conversation to have. I didn't really know where you were going with this, so I was getting
confused.
I was like, why is he going to talk about
comparing when they're asking you to pay the extra $70, and this is an issue. You got a nice second title fight on that one. You got Moreno versus Pantoja. Ooh. So already that's huge.
Naughty.
And wait, what else have we got? We got Dricus Duplessis versus Robert Whittaker. Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner. Tressie and Gore versus Bo Nickel. Okay, I know they're not high level, but they're prospects.
That's still interesting.
Robbie Lawler's last fight. Sean Brady versus Jack Della Maddalena. We're on prelims now. Denise Gomez, who's an awesome prospect, against undefeated Yasmin Uragui from Mexico, who's really good fun and super aggressive. Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menefield. Early prelims. Christian Rodriguez versus Cameron Simon. Martin Prachnio versus Victor Petrino. Shannon Ross versus Jesus Aguilar. I mean, that is a stacked fucking card. Later that same month, UFC 291. Poirier Gaethje. Blachowicz versus Pereira. I hope Pereira doesn't say anything about concussions in his pre-fight interview.
How long has it been?
It will be less than 3 months.
They should be smart about how they book.
They should be. Jan should be delighted. Ferguson versus Bobby Green. Costa versus Aliskerov. Thompson versus Pereira. DeLima versus Derek Lewis. Chiesa versus Holland.
You're jinxing the shit out of a lot of big cards.
Okay, I'm going to shut up. But I've made my point.
Yeah.
I've made my point.
This one's weak, dude.
Shit. This one's weak. But we're still going to watch it. You know why? Because
Oliveira Dariush.
Yeah, and also because I play Dungeons and Dragons every other Saturday now. Which means that this Saturday anything cool. I'm spending 3 hours as Gideon Steinfellows the Bard.
Voluntarily.
Okay.
Get that in there because he's making it sound like it's otherwise.
I know. That's only to save my pride. Remember that conversation we were having about ego and pride before the thing? I'm actually enjoying it a lot though. It's a lot of fun. But it does mean that I know that I'm doing nothing else apart from Saturday than playing that. That finishes about midnight. I go straight into the UFC.
If you're having fun, how's it not cool?
It's a very good point. It wasn't so cool. Well, people are taking the piss out of me for it, but fucking.
Who?
People that were pissed off I didn't go to Saturday on Primavera.
So not Miguel.
Not Miguel.
Sly,
my mate Alex, a few other people. So I used it as the part of the reason why I didn't go to Primavera on Saturday, is I had to play Dungeons and Dragons, which was true. It was also because I was kind of fucked up. But obviously people were like, I can't believe you're picking like playing Dungeons and Dragons on a Saturday over going to see Primavera. And I'm like, no. It'd be Rosalia at Primavera. I can live with that. Yeah. I don't need to see Rosalia. I'm sure she's great. I know she's from Catalonia originally. I'm sure she put on a great show. I heard Calvin Harris was also good on the Saturday. That would have actually been quite fun to see.
Yeah. Again, festival sets. It's not always the fucking same as actually seeing someone.
This is true.
And, Dungeons and Dragons wasn't the reason. It's just that there wasn't anything more compelling was the fucking reason. So Sly. He doesn't watch.
Nah, he doesn't. I think that's pretty much everything we want to talk about. We will be back next week. Forgive our absence last week. It was for good reasons and because nothing was happening in mixed martial arts world. Next week, we'll be discussing everything that happens in the aftermath of UFC 289, anything else that's happened in the news, and having a look ahead to the fight night next week, which I believe is Vittori versus Cannonier. As you said, it doesn't stop at this point.
Yeah.
Like the video, guys. Subscribe, all that jazz. Keep following, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, Laurie. Bye, Dave.